All right. Peace, everybody. And I am back today with my second guest, the amazing Angela Buccellato, who is the resume queen. And so sorry, people. This is the resume queen. I can't believe it's the
That's
resume.
life.
Right, exactly. So I can't even put into words the way Angela not only holds space for people who are perhaps terminated from their jobs. I know that that's a heavy word, like terminated.
Terminated.
Like, yeah, terminated. Or find themselves in a career space, but her background in psychology also helps her in her coaching around this, trying to navigate life. Because when we work and there's downsizing and there's layoffs and budget cuts, it can erode away at one's self esteem. But Angela has such an amazing way of not just zhuzhing, for lack of a better term, one's resume, but really tapping into a person's strengths and pulling out of them some of the things that maybe they didn't know they had and communicating it in a way that is sexy to an employer. She knows how to position you for the position. But even beyond that, she is a supportive friend. She is down to support the disruption of the regularly scheduled program. She does it her way and will help you find yours. So I am super excited today to not just have a sponsor and client and friend, because we're Cosmos at this point, your friend now.
Yeah.
Fellow Taurus, just had to put that out there,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just to add to the further badassery of it all. Host of That's Business podcast, who was heard in over 40 countries. And I just want to center that from your brilliant imagination, Angela, this came from you were in your 20s when you started this business, right?
24 years old. So, yes. Mm-hmm.
24 years old. And now you have built this amazing legacy business. You have employees, you have, countless clients who love and adore you. You're highly sought out. You're the LinkedIn whisperer,
Stealing that now. Yes. Thank you.
right? The LinkedIn whisperer. And I want to level set a bit here because, you and I in your intuitive session, we definitely talked about this idea of misfits, the renegades. And it can be hard sometimes, right? In this 3D reality that we exist in where, heat, lights, electricity, bills come, right? But you're able to help those of us who may be on the fringe. Maybe for those of us that, like a strong drink, a dirty joke, tattoos, all of the things, right, that they say are quote unquote unprofessional. Angela, how did you come to this work? And I'm going to ask an even deeper question behind that. How did you come to yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. And I'll try to make the story short and sweet. But I was the yes person where I didn't want to, growing up, I never wanted to say what I really thought in its entirety because I didn't want to offend someone, or I didn't want to not even offend someone, but like upset someone. So I was very much, I always had a big group of friends. I've always been the person that has different communities of people, which still holds true today. But I was friends with the air quote, like different groups of kids in high school. I had my nerdy friends. I had, some of my best friends today were varsity football players or the artsy kids. I mean, I just had so many different groups of people. And my mom even got mad at me at my high school graduation party because I had about 60 people show up. And she's like, if I run out of food, you are going to Kroger and getting it yourself. So I've just always been that person that, I don't want to like ruffle feathers, but I always like meshed and kind of slithered into different skins, I would say, of who I was. So I came into this work. I ended up in college, got the degree. I mean, checkbox kid, did the degree, don't disrupt, be a leader. And it actually came from a terrible relationship in college. And I was like, maybe I should just like start feeling, putting myself out there as who I am. So it's probably about
Mhm.
22, 23 in this other job. Um, and actually I was 24 years old because that's when I started this business. And then I finally was just had enough. I'm like, this boss is horrific. I just had left a job where they were paying me $18,000 less than my male counterparts. And I am a white woman. I do come from privilege, but I had never faced this whole like wage discrimination thing in any way, like the normal, sexist comments and misogyny. But I was like, oh, now you're affecting my lifestyle. What? Like we're in 2010s here. Like, aren't we over this whole thing? And I'm privileged that I get to say that. But going into that next role, I mean, I came home from a beautiful trip to Italy, visiting the family, and I was fired from my job. And with that, I mean, immediately it was like a timeline of my life. I'm like, I got the degree, I got the internship, I went to school, I did all the things, and I'm going to get fired? Me? Ma'am, no.
Oh,
So after that point and all the discrimination, racism, sexism, transphobia, homophobia, name it, in recruiting, I was like, these stories need to be told. And actually just came out with a podcast episode yesterday that addresses some of the stories I went through. And as I'm going through life, I'm like, why don't we just like put it out there? And you and I had talked about this, Ber-Henda, where like social media is fun because we get to be ourselves and like attract the right people. And that's where I was like, there's other people like me in the world. And, 6 years later and going through therapy and coming out as myself, I'm like, I'm going to attract the right people like you, like some of my other friends that, you tell me to go run in front of I-75 in the middle of traffic. I'm doing it because I trust you with my life. So just kind of having those relationships and those people, those clients, just the people you surround yourself with, that you get to be your badass self. I like to swear. People don't get offended if I swear. I'm still respectful. I still do the good work that I do. But just like having your people and your community is just so freaking important. And that's kind of how I've come into it, or just like listen to someone. If someone compliments you, don't say, oh, this ugly old thing, or us women have such a hard time accepting compliments. It's like, listen to what someone's telling you. And I've tried to like really embrace that lately.
that's right. And it's so true. We'll get a compliment and it's just an instant, almost like a knee jerk downplaying of it.
Yes.
And legit, I was at Burger King and just minding my own business. And the cashiers, looked at me and one of them said, "Oh, you're so pretty." And there was a version of me that would have been like, "Oh, well,
Mm.
And I said, "I'm just a reflection of you."
That's so beautiful. I love that.
Right? So if you feel like a discomfort in it, you can give I think it's wonderful to give a compliment back, but the truth of the matter is that anything that anyone else sees, good, bad, or indifferent, is really a reflection of them. So that's 2 cents, spend it how you wish. So have the day you deserve. You can take that any way you want.
Good or bad, right?
Right. Have the day you deserve. You feel like that's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then and I moved down to the second window to pick up the food. You're so pretty. And I'm like, okay, well, what? And it's like, well, why?
What's in the air?
Right. But how about inner work can be in the air? How about they just wanted to give you a compliment? How about it was just a nice thing to say?
Right.
There was nothing loaded there. They didn't want to extract anything from you. It was
No,
just an observation.
it's so true. And I think it's important to do that, and it's important to be a human with someone too. I mean, I just went to FedEx before I met with you earlier,
Mhm.
and the woman was clearly miserable in her job, and she was short with the person in front of me, no big deal, and we were vibing on things, and like I walked out and she like had a huge smile on her face. And I think we just get so hung up on,
Mhm.
we have to grieve, we have to go through everything, and then you still have to show up to work if you're in a customer facing role and act like nothing's happening because you need money. So that's an important point.
Yeah, I think that that's super neat that you name that there is a human part of you that has to breathe. It
Yes.
deserves to breathe. And if you're not your best self, and I'm gonna even take that back, you're the best at you're your best self in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
If that's all you had, then that's all you had.
That's all you had.
That's all you had to give. And we don't know, to what degree things were happening in her life, but you changed the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that on a small level, in the midst of like everything that is going on we're seeing wars and genocide unfolding all over the planet. We have a felon in chief that is more obsessed with his ego than actually, doing, oh, I don't know, his selected
His
job.
job.
Yeah, right. It was nice that someone saw another person's humanity. A
Right.
smile was given today. Sometimes, you know what, we have to get yay for small victories.
Small victories. Exactly. Right.
So tell me more about your podcast, because in our evolution of work, definitely to level set for those of you amazing viewers. So Angela did a 90-day accelerator with me, back again as a sponsor of the Culture Shifters Media Initiative, and part of the intuitive year. I've watched this beautiful evolution of Angela stepping even more so into her power. I mean, she's already powerful, but she's really stepping into this power position as a speaker. And I think a lot of it stemmed from her podcast, because it's all voice, right? So it's like it's all you, and it's like you have to figure out this platform, right? Even if you're not doing the technical end, you still have to develop cadence and rhythm, and, like, for lack of a better word, like your persona. So tell me about how, you went from the resume rescue to a podcast that's business, and now this really expansive public speaker.
Thank you. So I would say my joke in life is if I were to ever do it over again, I would want to be Jimmy Fallon, where he has a lot of fun, he laughs, he cries, you have serious conversations, I mean, you get to have fun. I mean, if you ever watch Jimmy Fallon, I mean, it's debauchery. Like
Mhm.
let's do lip syncing because why not? And clearly has ADHD. So I was like, that is what my show would look like. So I had a good friend who I had told this about for a few years, and he's like, Angela, I love you. I'm sick of hearing this. We're recording next week. I don't care. Like, let's do it. So I was like, my voice recorded? No, that's scary. So I came up with the name That's Business because I'm a huge Frank Sinatra fan. Like, love the crooners, love the Rat Pack, like, have a tattoo and all of Frank Sinatra. And his song, That's Life, talks about, the ups, the downs, but everything that's just a part of life and what everything happens. So that's where I came up with the idea is That's Business, to kind of pay ode to that of interviewing badass people like yourself. Ber-Henda has been a guest, and other people that just because I meet so many cool people in life, I'm like, you have a great story you need to tell. And they oftentimes are the stories that's not like, I woke up and I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I have had people that do it, but they share the stories of how they got here, the failures, the getting fired, the pieces that you thought were devastating, navigating loss and grief. So just kind of putting the whole person together. And my joke is, and what I tell people who want to be on it, I'm like, it's like we're in your element. We're getting drinks, we're getting coffee, we're sitting on the couch, like bustled up to pillows and just having a conversation. So that's where that was the story of the podcast. And I mean, getting to rant about it, where I was so terrified, and I hate the sound of my own voice. Fun fact, I hate it. I can't stand it. My growth for 2024 was listening to my own podcast.
People.
It's everyone, right?
I think of a single person that actually
No.
likes, unless you're a narcissist, that
Right.
actually likes hearing your own voice.
It's so true. So just interviewing people, and funny enough, I have to update that because it hit over 50 countries now, which is fun since
Oh,
I put that info into you. So that's fun.
yes.
It just like listening to people. Like I just had someone text me that I'm friends with, and I don't know why I feel so weird about people that listen to my podcast. I don't know. Maybe you can shed light on that if you feel the same way. But my friend texted me. She's like, "Great podcast episode this week, by the way." I'm like, "Oh my god, you already listened to it? Like I just released that this morning." But okay. So just kind of saying like what would I tell myself, or what would I want to hear? I mean, I've gone through this whole growth trajectory of like we talked about, building confidence. And I have imposter syndrome like the rest of them. If you would have asked me, a few months ago, like, do I want to be a business owner and a podcast host? I would have said hell to the no. And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm doing it. So I approach it a little differently where I I give what I would have wished I would have heard. What
Mm.
life sucks post college. Life sucks post high school when you're like forced to be an adult of just like, is this what it's like to pay bills? And what is like death insurance? What is like, are you killing me off at my job? I don't know. So just like all the things you never were taught growing up, or just people that kind of figured it out and are good people. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but I just really love untold stories. Like if you've ever watched Humans of New York or read those posts on Facebook, like that's the dream job for me, is to just do what Brendan does. So,
Love Humans of New York. Like some of the stories
mhm.
are absolutely gut wrenching. Others are like super inspiring. Like who that was just a brilliant format to come up with. So yes, shout out to Brendan. So I want to also center this so people understand, exactly what the culture shifters sort of ecosystem is and like how you've participated in it because yes, of course, client, and that's wonderful, but it's a step further like you're investing directly into like a woman of color having a full page ad in a coffee table book. And while on the surface that may not sound like, oh, that's not a big thing, but representation, like it really matters. And so you're not afraid of tough conversations. I've seen you like really lean in to things that may even be seemingly controversial. I don't know why we have to like legislate humanity, but here we are. What does it mean to you to not only be a client but also to sponsor, an initiative like this?
So and I will get to the answer, but want to give a little background of I grew up with two incredibly badass, wonderful women, my mother and my grandmother, who always gave back to the community. I mean, volunteering. My grandmother was the breadwinner. I mean, just like women that were breaking societal norms. And a big piece of it was giving back, or always like, if you believe in something, like sink your freaking feet in. And if you want to argue with someone, argue respectfully and stand your ground of who you are and what you represent. So, with that background and kind of coming out of my own shell in my 20s, just like realizing like what happened to me as a white woman, like what's happening, and hearing the horror stories of my friends, I'm like, oh, hell no. Like, use your privilege to do something. So, funny enough, as you and I kind of became friends, and I never had a business coach or had someone do that, because I was like, if you use the word like ROI or authentic leadership or any of the freaking buzzword bullshit, I'm not working with you. So I felt really called to work with you after you just kept popping up. And then we finally met in person. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it. So because you're never pushy, you're just like, cool, you want to chat? Sure, let's chill and like, let's see if this works out. And it did. And just having someone like yourself share your stories and just being realistic and having someone that you're a non-opposing opinion to say like, yeah, I don't feel that for you and I don't like that for you. Maybe let's like do this instead, sister friend. So that's how I coach my clients. So I'm like, oh, I need to be a good client of like what I would want to see. So doing the homework, doing the work. And I mean, you're just a beacon of light. How can you not sign up for anything you offer? And using that, like a coffee table book is big because it's a literal, like it's in print. It's there forever. Like that's huge. So using that to as a sponsor of one of my dear friends, Amanda Sweet, to use that for her promotion as she should. But it's oftentimes, and going back to my mother and grandmother, like if you're doing something to get the recognition of it, you shouldn't be doing it. Like the people
Mhm.
who are like, you're going to donate money and you need to watch me donate or say thank you for it. They're like, if you're going to do that, don't freaking do it. Do it
Yeah.
with like the goodness of your heart, like do it with good intentions. And I didn't even realize like this was going to be a part of it. So I'm like, oh, cool. I get to be interviewed. Okay. Where I still feel kind of weird about it, even though I'm going through it. I'm like, I don't know. Like, you're great. It shouldn't be the focus of me. Like, why are you interviewing me? But, you know, our own issues we could talk about. But
Right.
yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think anytime we're amplifying the voice of the feminine, I think we're one, that's powerful. Any opportunity that we can do to do it, and then two, also amplifying the voices of women of color, women and femmes of color, trans women included. I just think that there's so much opportunity that we have here, especially because of where we are in our culture and our world, that signs of hope and solidarity have to be amplified because traditional media just isn't doing it. I mean, just like we're seeing Jews march with Palestinians, like we're watching that, but that's not necessarily happening on mainstream media. And so you and I have the unique opportunity to use our platforms, to use our audiences to engage with, but also provide safety and healing and nurturing and authenticity, like just like real human to human. There's no pretense, because that's for the bros. You know, they can do. And I think that, probably in around the time that you and I even came into to business, that was the only version of business ownership that we saw, where, you know, white men doing what they do in corporate, but just in the entrepreneurial space. And so if you didn't do it like them, with the barrage of emails and texts and follow up, and if you didn't do it, there was something fundamentally flawed with you. You have to want it. You have to take it. I'm like, are we wild on the Serengeti? Like, what is going on here? Are we hunting? Like, what is this? I'm just like, oh, that's the colonizer colonizing. Okay, everything has to be subdued and crushed and conquered. And I'm just like, no, there has to be a different way of doing it, because it just didn't feel right.
Right. And I think something to pull out with you and why I'll yell your name from the rooftops is I have like trifecta of depression, ADHD, anxiety, and there are times my seasonal depression is horrible. Like we talked about December, and I remember being so embarrassed. I had not done any of the homework you told me to do, and I texted, or I think you had reached out, or I texted you, or however we got into touch, and I was like, I'm struggling right now, like financially, personally, professionally, like all hell is broken loose. I don't know what to do with my life. Like I don't even know if I want to be a business owner anymore. Like, I don't know anything. And you're like, all right, let's like talk it through, where you didn't push me to be like, get out there and post and go make all these meetings. You're like, I think we did like a meditation, or you gave me the homework to like listen to a book, and I did it. And I'm like, as I'm crying through it, I'm like, okay, okay, Brianna's right. Like, let's do it. But that's the fact of, you don't say like, well, we have so many hours in a day. Like, why aren't you doing it? And I'm like, I'm trying to survive here. But that's the difference with you and this community you've built and this podcast you've built and your talk show and everything you touch, you put your hands on, is it's like all about you and your empathy and what makes sense seasonally. I mean, your seasonal planning has like brought so much clarity and light of like, oh, winter, we need to chill. We need to go hard in the summer and the fall when you feel great, and then you like coast through the winter. And that's what I'm preparing for this year. So I can't say enough good things about you and the freaking incredible work you do.
Well, right. I mean, seriously, right back to you. And I think that when a person has admittedly shared with you that they do have, ADD, ADHD, which is really common in empaths, anxiety and depression, if you already feel like crap, like what does it benefit to make you feel worse? Because if you're a high achiever on top of all of that, you already feel bad about feeling bad. And then our identities are still, we have to work through this, not tying our identities to productivity, and in this
Mm-hmm.
kind of, hustle culture. And I think I even said in a video last night, I'm from Detroit. Detroit says hustle harder. Like that's our moniker. That's what we're known for. And so when you're trying to be anti-capitalist, anti-hustle, and pro-peace, soft life, feminine way, in a culture that's steeped in it. And then, by the way, Detroit starts with the D, which is a 4. So they call it the Straits for a reason, right? We're actually bucking the system and going against the current that is our city, our metro area. So I would never make you feel worse than I'm sure you already have. And I'm sure your conscience picks up wherever, your mind's like, oh, mine's higher. Let me get my conscience in this. Oh, subconscious. Oh, you want to get in this too? So now everybody is weighing in with their opinions. And it's like, oh my God, inner child, is that you too? So now everybody's
This isn't a party I wanted to have. Thank
yeah,
you
this is
so
right.
much.
So I was like, if I'm gonna have a pity party, it's for one. Thanks. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. This isn't a group thing. So yeah, it serves no one. And it definitely doesn't serve you. But how can we get out of it? How can we get out of the loop, right? Because it spirals. So how can we stop the spiral? Come back, shift our thoughts, shift how we're speaking, how we're talking about it. But I think the element too is community. Just knowing that, hey, I'm not alone in this.
No, exactly. And of course, we met through Bamboo and just like joining a part of other communities or just like opening your mind to other things where, I didn't grow up in Detroit. My mother is a Detroiter through and through. My grandmother, same thing. But we went to Eastern Market on the weekends. My dad's a wholesale distributor. Like,
Hmm.
we were never the like, oh my God, you're going to go down to Detroit? That's so ghetto. How are you going to go down there? And my mother and grandmother would be like, I know you're not talking about my city, and go off on people. So then when I went away to school, it was the same premonition of like, how are you not open to other cultures and other people? Like that's just not a thing to me. We're blessed to grow up where we had different cuisine for dinner and just like opening your mind to those different things. And I think that's who has the biggest communities are people who like did the work or actually walked in Detroit and aren't going to all the gentrified places and are actually like doing a thing or two like for good for the city. I don't know. What do I
It's
know?
like that's like my life mission. Like whenever I hear someone coming to Detroit, it's like I want to get them off the gentrifier path. It's like, okay, no, 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 no. You're gonna go here. And I think that you and I have this unique opportunity that not only are we, on obviously online talking about our business, because I mean that is important, but we're also sharing our lived experience in our lives. I mean, Detroit is what over 80% black. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the idea to be afraid or push people out who have been here for centuries, like it makes absolutely no sense at all. And
Mm-mm.
even when we go down, streets, that like Iroquois or, Cheyenne, it's like we have pushed people out. We have definitely annihilated the indigenous population here too. So I think it's also important to do land acknowledgement. So shout out Teen Hype. They in their meditative before they start any part of their retreats, they do land acknowledgement and they also do ancestral acknowledgement.
Ooh, that's
I know.
amazing.
So we're on the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe and I believe the Ojibwa people
Yes.
here in Detroit, right? So I think when we move with intention, I mean, of course, there's no way we can go back into history and undo. But I love, what you're naming being in community. We can take time to understand the person that's in front of us. I love that you use I have privilege. Like that's not a dirty word, but some people are like that's a thing. Like I don't it's
It's not a contest. It's not.
not. And it's not a bad thing, but
No.
how do we use it? So your investment, not only into this container but also paying it forward for someone else is really what we aim to do with the culture shifters ecosystem is that pay it forward. It's just an endless cycle. So it's like you give, you receive, you give, you receive, you give, you receive. And I think that's just the natural order of things, and then understanding what season you're in. So maybe, Angela, the bottom line is maybe you just need to go take a nap.
And I have taken a lot more naps since working with you because that was something you had told me to do. So, yes, thank you for the naps I've had.
Go take a nap. I mean, I'm just gonna it's so nourishing. I don't care, like, if it's not a 2 hour, like, you don't have to take a 2 hour nap, but, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes, a good 45-minute nap
But
works.
that's back to this whole society bullshit of like, if you don't work and your identity tied with your productivity, as you
Right.
said, it's just like going on that path too. It's like, take some rest. I mean, we hyperfixate as ADHD, ADD individuals, and then we burn out and wonder why, and then try to work through it until we have a mental breakdown and cry for 2 hours. So take a little half-hour nap, like you said.
It works wonders. So I am so excited. We start next week. So I want to give just a huge debt of gratitude and love to our sponsor and participant of the Culture Shifters multimedia initiative. And please check out Angela on her podcast, That's Business. And if you're about due for a resume zhuzhing and you are ready to get back out into the work world, whether it's because you took time off. I mean, I think that's the other thing to name too. Moms, come out of the workforce many times and come home, and then are, when kids are a certain age, go back into the workforce, and it's like the landscape is completely changed. And it's like I was only gone for like 2 years, and it's like, no, things are so
Mm,
in that even small time frame. Um, definitely seek Angela out because she can help you rescue your resume.
thank you.
No, thank you, friends. So I will see you all on the other side. If this program sounds the slightest a bit of intrigue to you, we only have 3 spots left. So it's intentionally small. So it's not like um, we want to overwhelm the system, because that does not work. I don't want anyone to feel like they are lost in this process. But if it feels like something that would be a benefit to you or a friend that you know, C-suite or nonprofits would benefit from this too, because you do have to have an entrepreneur's mindset if you're leading organizations. I definitely invite you to check out the Aligned here. Angela, as always, it's always a pleasure. And I'll
Likewise.
see you soon, friend.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And